And I'm starting the broadcast.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody, and thank you again for joining the Kaltura webinar for the enterprise. We are excited to host Philip Karcher today. He is the analyst with Forrester, and he is going to be giving an exciting talk about the future of video in the enterprise. We also have Dr. Michal Tzur, Kaltura's president, and we have Russell Zach, Kaltura's managing director for the enterprise. I just wanted to let everybody know before we begin that throughout the session, you can feel free to post all your questions in the webinar question tool. And after the session, we're going to have the recording available to view on demand on Kaltura's website, www.kaltura.com. Thank you all for joining again, and let's start the session.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Phil Karcher, and I'm an analyst with Forrester Research. In my job, I write about and I advise IT decision makers on collaboration and productivity tools. And I've had a particular focus lately on video technologies, looking at how they are used in the enterprise for communications, for training and collaboration, and how we see the role of video quickly growing to become a core technology component of the workplace experience.
And hi, I'm Russell Zach. I'm the Managing Director for the Enterprise Video Group at Kaltura. Thanks, everyone, for joining. My focus here at the organization is to lead the adoption of the Kaltura video platform for our Fortune 500, Global 2000, government and advertising agency clients. And one other item I do want to add is anyone would like to tweet about today's webinar, just use hashtag Kaltura. Michal?
And I'm Michal Tzur. I'm Kaltura's president and chief marketing officer and co-founder. And we have a very exciting webinar today. I'm going to give a brief overview about Kaltura. We will then share with you very interesting trends, statistics, and drivers for video adoption in the enterprise, some of the challenges for implementing an enterprise video strategy. We'll provide recommendations and best practices, share some case studies, and we'll even propose a concrete action plan for enterprises who are engaging with a current video strategy. So a few brief words about Kaltura. So Kaltura is a video platform, and we provide solutions for authoring, managing, publishing, distributing, and monetizing video content. We focus on four main industries: the media industry, where we work with companies such as ABC News, Telepictures, HBO, Warner Brothers, in order to support their online video strategy, bringing the content online, distributing it, increasing views, monetizing the content, supporting citizen journalism activities. Then in the enterprise, we work on two main use cases. One is pub-facing video, product marketing and marketing content, working with companies such as Best Buy and Texas Instruments to bring video to their online portals, supporting it across connected devices. And then more recently, we have a great demand to video used internally for collaboration and learning, consistent with trends of social enterprise. In education, and here we see a lot of crossover with the tools that we've developed for enterprise, we work with educational institutions to support better learning results, more effective learning using online video, either integrated into their learning management systems, creating a central repository for media on campus. We work with hundreds of higher educational institutions in the U.S. and worldwide with a cross-campus strategy in those higher education institutions, and also working closely with ed tech companies as an additional layer of video in their platforms. We also work with service providers in order to add an additional layer of video to whatever offering they already have, whether with hosting providers, CDNs, and also we work with ISVs to offer an integrated video solution. So, you know, the trends that I've talked about with enterprise and education are consistent with information we're going to be sharing later on in the webinar.
All right, so I'd like to talk about a number of trends which are changing the expectation for video in the workplace. You may be familiar with the growing trend of consumerization, the consumerization of IT, where employees want to use technologies that they've mastered in their personal lives at work. Data from ComScore, the organization which tracks online behavior, shows that the number of hours that Internet users have watched has nearly doubled since 2009. Whereas Internet users used to consume 10 hours of video on average per month at the end of 2009, they're watching around 19.5 hours per month as of the latest numbers, as video becomes an increasingly normal medium for how we consume information. Of course, you're familiar with Skype. 40% of Skype-to-Skype calls today involve video, and which is itself a staggering statistic. We're watching video on social platforms. Facebook has always been a major channel for video now, and it has video conferencing capabilities. Video is featured prominently in Google+. And just as more employers are looking at the importance of investing in technologies like social to provide employees with a modern technology toolkit, they want to invest in these technologies to help attract and retain a new generation of younger talent. We believe that employees' growing use of video in their personal lives is going to help drive a behavioral change and a cultural expectation for video in the workplace as well. Tablets and smartphones are also increasing the number of touch points for video. I mentioned that we're consuming a lot more online video in our personal lives today, and a strong component of that growth is the increasing amount of time that people are watching video on these mobile devices. We live in a multi-device world, right? And employees stay productive from everywhere, whether that's the office, from their homes, and on the road. And video is now an expected feature on smartphones and tablets. So we have to think about how to deliver video communications that we do to them on their desktops onto mobile devices as well. And I hear some interest in some industry-specific applications for video on mobile devices, such as in insurance, where employees in the field, like an agent, being able to record something on their iPhone camera and send it back to the office. Companies will need to, as they think about their video strategies, will need to think not only about how to make content available to employees on mobile devices, but potentially even deal with questions about how to ingest and manage video that originates from mobile devices themselves. And the third trend I'd like to talk about is how video technologies are increasingly integrated into the workplace. All instant messaging clients, for example, now allow you to click to start a video call. And video is a standard feature in web conferencing. And more organizations are adding web parts to add video capabilities in SharePoint, as another example. So as video becomes a normal feature on every collaboration technology, at Forrester we find that the lines between different categories of messaging and collaboration and conferencing software are blurring. And in the workplace of the future, employees will be able to move seamlessly between instant messaging, voice, sharing, and video to choose the appropriate channels for communication and collaboration. Russ, I don't know if you wanted to provide any practical examples here before we move
Sure,
on.
and what we're seeing in the types of applications is, as Phil mentioned, SharePoint being a good example, but we're also seeing the needs where companies and organizations are looking to put in standalone video portals that can either be shared throughout a company across multiple employees, partners, as well as customers, but also dedicate those video portals to specific groups, specific divisions that are focused around unique lines of business. Really, so where video is being not only integrated with collaboration systems, we're also seeing the needs for standalone video portals for video engagement.
Absolutely. Video is becoming increasingly integrated into the way we work. And like Russ said, we're seeing it increasingly used in meetings and communications. On the video conferencing side, I'm seeing a lot of resurgence in investments in video conferencing technology from the desktop all the way to the conference room. thanks to HD quality video and user-friendly interfaces. But of course, we're seeing investments not just in video conferencing, but across the entire spectrum of video technologies in the workplace, including streaming and on-demand video content. So I'd say we're not yet at the tipping point of widespread adoption, but we're moving there rapidly. And when we do, the primary source and destination for video content will be devices that are broadly provisioned to employees, the desktops, the laptops, the smartphones, which employees will create, publish, and interact with video. And employees will not only use real-time video communications, they will also access video created by their peers, and they will have tools to create and socialize video themselves.
Yeah, and maybe adding to that, I'd say that employees are expecting the interface of any of these systems and the tools and capabilities that they get to be at least on par with what they have out there, in sites as YouTube and Facebook, and just to have the same easy and friendly interface to interact with.
So businesses are demanding video technologies. At Forrester, we collect a tremendous amount of data, and this is from a survey we fielded earlier this year where we asked 2,000 IT decision makers what video technologies they have deployed in their environments. And while many organizations have investments in legacy video conferencing, they're in the process of upgrading their video environments to HD and immersive video conferencing. There's also a very strong interest in IP digital video for internal use. And you can see from this data around a quarter of companies say that they're using it internally in some capacity, whether that's for training or for corporate communications. And some 20% say they have concrete plans to deploy that capability in the future.
And if I could just add an area here, Phil, and we'll be talking about it later in the webinar. And when you look at the basic outline of the features and functions for a video solution, it's really divided into the tools to create video or to capture video, the tools to share those videos and comment on those videos, as well as the live technologies to do live broadcasts across organizations, remote offices, as well as between different employees and groups.
Absolutely. And whereas until now, most conversations about video technologies in the workplace have centered on video conferencing. And we've had, on the other hand, video content technologies, the on-demand and live streaming video content, which Russ was just talking about, being more important in the past as part of marketing strategy. A lot of traditional online video platforms have been focused on the customer experience and on providing high-quality video that's easy to watch on different devices. But what we're finding as we move towards a pervasive video-enabled enterprise is that there's growing demand on the side of video conferencing technologies to talk to suppliers and partners and even customers, and there's growing demand to use video content, using live video streaming, using internal YouTube-like capabilities on the portal and in SharePoint, not only for the traditional marketing, external communications use case, but to provide that kind of experience internally with the same ease of use and the same flexibility for employees as well. And I believe we have some numbers on Kaltura's side to show you that growing trend.
Yeah, and what we've done here at Kaltura is we've taken our own data and our own information and analyzed it. And what we did with this analysis is we looked at the demands of where our enterprise customers, prospects, as well as our general discussions, and the interest level of certain use cases for using video within the enterprise. And we divided it up here into marketing, which is for marketing purposes, product marketing, product awareness, normally used for external purposes, learning and training, both for internal as well as external customers and partners. The social enterprise, which is integration and using existing collaboration systems for sharing and commenting on content collaboration systems being SharePoint, Jive, SocialCast, and a variety of others. Corporate communications, normally in a live environment, as well as video and digital asset management. And if you look at the trends in between 2010 to 2011, what we have here is a lot of statistics for marketing. And then we have a radical shift in the 12 months following. And we have here the future, April 2012. Well, what we've done is we've actually done future interviews, as well as analyzed what our prospects and existing customers are looking to do. And here you can see an increasing interest in two main areas, learning and training for both product awareness and using video for getting employees and customers and partners up and running and approved for products and services, as well as a social enterprise. A fairly radical increase on both of those areas as we're seeing video and the use of video become pervasive across much more in-depth areas of a company's organization and structure. So why don't we move forward? And again, let's go back to some of the high-level view as to why video. And it's always important to note that video is engaging. It allows people for in-depth retention as well as participation. So what about engagement? The video is social. It's water cooler conversation in a less formal environment, or it's also very formal, which is that people, employees, and customers can comment on video, can take snippets of videos and share it throughout the organization. And part of that is because the retention is so high. Sight, sound, pictures, as well as the need to focus an employee's attention as well as a customer's attention on what's being shown. 5-minute clip, 10-minute clip, 15-minute clip, is that retention is much higher than through other mechanisms. And also we're seeing the democratization, like Phil and like Michal had mentioned earlier in the webinar, is that content creation, content sharing within an enterprise is now becoming democratized. Just like we saw with the use of YouTube in the consumer market, we're now seeing those trends move into the enterprise as well. So why don't we continue?
And just to reinforce some of those points which Russ mentioned, why are companies looking to videos, and the benefits of video, like you mentioned, of course, driving employee engagement. Video is a rich emotional medium of communications, and we see a particular use case in using video to bring in remote employees and keep them abreast of what's going on in the organization. Right? Remote employees in distributed organizations want to hear from their colleagues. They want to be able to watch playback of the company meeting and see what's happening around the organization. And in that manner, video can be a way to drive employee satisfaction. Similarly, and we're going to talk about this a little more later, we see video used a lot to improve communications from leadership. So if you think about it, no message coming from the top can really be delivered quite as powerfully as one where you're looking at the CEO across his or her desk. And we've heard from organizations that credit video actually with raising their scores on employee-rated metrics like CEO transparency, trust in leadership. And building on this theme of the consumerization of IT and the influence of consumer technologies, we even see some executives adopting a unpolished, off-the-cuff presentation style rather than record high-quality video in the studio because it lends them credibility with employees. Russ mentioned the importance of being able to retain information through video, and we see video used in improving the effectiveness of training. So how-to videos, for example, are among the most compelling and effective uses of video today. And finally, that user-generated social use case, encouraging employees to share best practices. One company which we worked with at Forrester uses actually video recorded on handheld cameras given to their sales force. This is a power tools company, and the salespeople record videos to teach each other how to sell the products more effectively, and they use these videos as a part of training and as a source of material in sales presentations. diving deeper into some of the more specific use cases, you can see the range of video applications is very diverse. And again, on the left-hand side, you can see kind of that spectrum from one-to-many controlled corporate types of communications, and as video becomes more socialized throughout the organization, it becomes more of really a sharing and best practice of sharing, almost enterprise social use case, right? So at the top, executives are driving demand, posting video of a CEO or an executive all hands, video of large events, of big stage events like an annual conference, which in many cases organizations have made available to the public. They're also looking at streaming them or making them available to their employees internally, right? Investor and analyst events, marketing webinars. These are kind of the traditional use cases for webcasting. And corporate communications departments are increasingly looking at adding video elements to these kinds of communications and making them available internally as well. And as you go down the list, as more stakeholders get involved, we see video used for training. I had a recent conversation with a real estate brokerage, which was using video in their learning management system, but was disappointed that employees would come in once and that they wouldn't return ever again, right, after they took one course. So they're trying to build more of a YouTube-like experience, encouraging employees to submit their own videos and incorporating social elements so that they can rate, comment, and share video.
And just to add, again, as we were talking about the trends of the consumerization of IT early in the presentation, what you're seeing here is very similar to what we saw with the media and entertainment industry starting about 6 or 7 years ago, where it used to be about one-to-many broadcast of a whole variety of live channels. And similar, it used to be that the executives would be the ones broadcasting video inside an enterprise. And today, in the media and entertainment industry, you have everybody being able to become a video creator as well as a video consumer with the on-demand availability as well as YouTube. We're also seeing those same trends now move into the enterprise, which is allowing anybody to be a video content creator, a video content commentator, as well as consumer.
So on the theme of different departments in the organization being involved in video technologies, video is really a cross-disciplinary function. Video technologies live in different groups that are either demanding video, they're either buying the solutions, or they're tasked with enabling it for others. Your creative or media services group in marketing or communications might run your studios and own the video that lives on your public websites. IT and networking have responsibilities for video conferencing. You have HR and training groups that might be buying their own SaaS video platforms for training purposes. You have managers and executives who are driving the general adoption of video technologies. So we see on that one hand, some organizations start off with a homegrown video platform, and as the demand for video internally grows and they can no longer support customization and the usage reaches a critical level, then they'll start to look at a commercial platform. But the danger, of course, when you have so many groups internally involved in video is this other case we see where different departments or different business units are buying and deploying video solutions in a siloed approach. So this speaks to the importance of rallying the different stakeholders in the organization who are interested in video, taking stock of your different video applications and use cases as you set forth your video strategy. And it speaks to the importance of security features and authentication as you think of which audiences and which internal users have access to video content, the importance of robust content management, and how you're going to deliver content optimally to the different channels where employees need to access it.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good segue to this other topic. I mean, many times I'm asked, why is video so challenging? And, why can't video be treated as just another type of asset? And it's interesting. Video, in the end, has a time element to it, which is, adds an additional type of metadata, makes search maybe more complicated. But that actually tags along with it many other challenges and complexities. There's also a problem related to lack of standards when it comes to video and video formats and the support across different browsers and devices. And then another attribute of video is that it's just large and heavy files. I guess, these three main reasons create all of the different challenges that we now see on this screen that looks a little scary, but in the end it's actually not that difficult, at least for us at Kaltura nowadays, to standardize many of these challenges and support them. So when you're talking about supporting the different types of formats, managing the more complex metadata structures related to video, supporting both live and on demand, being able to distribute the content and all of its related metadata to other sites, supporting security for the video, making it more social and being able to share it. Device support is a major challenge, making it available on all different mobile devices, each of which does or does not support Flash, HTML5, does require applications as well as access control within the organizations, and then you get to the issue of the CDN and the delivery within the organizations. So all of these coupled together do warrant kind of thinking of video more strategically, and given sometimes the IT investment that is required, supporting it as kind of a central project across the different units within the enterprise. Moving on to what we see many times as a good way to address the solution and how to look at it. I mean, when you think of it, there are many sources of video in the enterprise. I mean, you have web conferencing content, you have content from live events, you have training content, corporate communication content. Then more recently, you have what we call the employee-generated content, the EGC content, created either via webcams, PowerPoint video recordings. All of these are different sources of video. I'd say that some of them, like the web conferencing and the live events, have already existed in the enterprises for quite a while and have systems on the one hand that support the creation, the generation, and the delivery, and the storage of the content. But interestingly, they're not connected. So you can watch the live recordings in one system. You can watch the web conferencing content after the fact in one system maybe. Then the training content from a different system. There's no central video management system that allows to access all of this content. Then you have another challenge, which is you have also existing publishing sites. Some organizations use SharePoint or any other content management or collaboration systems, or use Jive. They might have some other portal. They may want to launch a video portal, which is a trend we see now in many organizations that want to have their own sort of corporate YouTube, enterprise YouTube interface that is more easy to browse and search video content. So how do you take the video from all of these sources, put it in one central repository, and then make it actually accessed through all of the different applications and interfaces according to the corporate permissions? So what we recommend is to create this central repository of content, and then to empower each of the other applications used within the enterprise with video capabilities and ability to access that media repository. Then additional important tools are tools related to the social enterprise. Those are the tools that empower employees to generate content, and the tools that allow to actually consume the content from different devices and share that content. And of course, everything should be according to the permissioning system within the enterprise. And then many additional options for creating content, such as video to PowerPoint synchronization, and adding things such as captions and subtitles. And those are actually important for other reasons as well. I mean, recently we've introduced time-based metadata that allows actually to use transcript files in order to search within the video. And again, that allows to better expose content, search content more efficiently. So all in all, I'd say that it's kind of unifying the video experience within the enterprise, empowering individuals in the enterprise not only to create the content, but to easily consume it and share it. And then also, obviously, offering analytics tools that allow to see, who's watching which content is actually popular, and making sure that any enterprise access control is enforced within such a system.
So what are your success factors? Reinforcing what Michal was just saying, video needs to be integrated into how your employees work. If your employees live in SharePoint to access enterprise content, you might want to look at the ability to publish video in SharePoint. If Jive is your central social platform for where employees have social interactions, you want to look at making video integrate with that solution. If PowerPoint is the way that your employees share information and deliver training, you want to make sure that you can have video, PowerPoint tied to video, or resources linking to PowerPoint presentations from the video. You need policies to govern video content creation and sharing. It's up to you that you have the right workflow processes, that you have content retention rules. Along those same lines, content management in general, I'd say, has been generally overlooked for internal video. The same diligence which has been applied to externally facing video has not been applied internally. So you want to make sure that video is tagged properly, that it's organized, that it's searchable. As my colleague at Forrester, Henry Dewing, likes to say, if something is worth saving, it's worth finding. And all these things might not matter as much, might not be as noticeable when your video content creation is at a very manageable level. But when you enable multiple content creators, as you go down that list of different stakeholders of the enterprise for creating video content, these things become crucial. Video expertise and the deployment model must scale to your needs. So your expertise, your level of video creation, and your distribution needs will determine what you do on premises and where you leverage the cloud. But you also need to think about the future, where you will host internal, external video content, and how your distribution needs will scale as you grow this video capability. And of course, a major consideration in any video deployment is its impact on your network. You need to think about different content delivery, hosting services, and caching technologies to manage content delivery internally as opposed to externally. Moving on.
Sure. So Phil and Michal have talked about, over the last 4 slides that we've gone through, is the groups and the people and departments within an organization that are required to be involved as part of a video strategy, the technology issues that need to be overcome with the approach. Michal outlined the solution of what are the building blocks for a video, a full end-to-end enterprise video solution. And Phil just mentioned about the success factors. So what we did when we were planning this webinar is we looked at who are some great examples of organizations that have looked at all 4 of these items and are pushing them through with their video strategy and these video initiatives. A good example, Texas Instruments, who has really looked at the collaboration both internally and externally for their video. They have a video portal that is actually publicly facing, but is they are distributing internal company-created videos and allowing customers and partners to add to that video content, comment, and share it. They have multiple groups and departments, all working in a collaborative fashion with best-of-breed practices in terms of the reports and the analytics on who's watching video when's the best time to distribute video, what is the videos that get most people's attention. And then we look at Coldwell Banker, a different type of example where they're using video and driving video as a core part of their product training, for their 88,000, that's 88,000 real estate brokers. And what's interesting about what Coldwell Banker is doing is they're not only using video, but they're using the videos to link to rich media documents. So what do I mean by this? This means if there's a broker who's being trained in Texas, who's at a certain level, they can not only watch the video of the best way in which a house needs to be prepared before showing, but also download all of the materials that allows them to give out their pamphlets and brochures, all being driven by video. And they also do custom training modules based on both region as well as the level of broker in terms of seniority. They have 5 different levels of brokers. And then finally, Best Buy, who's really doing video in a whole variety of fashions. They're driving video through their publicly facing websites, bestbuy.com. They have Best Buy On, where consumers can come and actually learn about what's the best television for me, what does 3D mean for my household. But Best Buy is also using video internally, which is getting their employees at the stores trained and briefed on new promotions. They're using video as a core part of their drive for point of sale, putting video in kiosks. And they're also allowing for employee-generated content for best practices in an internal video portal. These are all just 3 of the examples of what we've seen, again, of companies who are looking at how it's shared between the different organizations, have overcome the issues, have put in place a centralized solution, and are mapping themselves on specific success factors of how video changes their organization. So why don't we move on to the next slide, which is, what is our action plan? So what should you be looking for as you plan your video strategy? Well, the main thing is look at your prioritization of 4 main functions. Are you looking at making it easy for your employees, partners, and customers to create video? Are you looking at implementing sharing of videos, policies, and security policies on what videos can be shared between groups and departments? Do you want to implement social features? Make video shareable on Twitter, make sure video shareable on publicly facing internet sites or inside collaboration systems, and also look at what effect live has on both your environment as well as on doing employee education and briefings. Also, what we often do at Kaltura with our customers, and as also Phil has talked about from the Forrester perspective, is look at your rollout size. Are you looking to roll out for a specific group? Are you looking to roll out to the entire organization? Should you pick 20% of your employees to start as a test? Should you do it just with external partners? Measurement of metrics is very important as well. We saw, again, as I mentioned, Texas Instruments. They actually pay very close attention to when content is viewed, when is the best time for them to distribute content, how long it's being played, and also the time of day. And they make changes in their organization as to when's the best time to engage employees and customers with their video content, as well as their rich media documents. The other thing is that video communities are much like lines of business, is that it's very important that product groups, lines of business, also have the ability to find the information and the content that is relevant to them in a very efficient fashion. So instead of a full ocean of content, make content categories easy to find based on specific lines of business, and put them responsible for metrics and ROI. Put the sales team responsible for how fast is training being handled using video is a good example. And then as well, as you grow, inventory the systems. Look at what may be on-prem, what systems have you purchased before, versus a cloud solution, a software as a service solution that may be better for external or even internal uses. Look at what's been bought versus what's built, and also look at what will scale and what won't, which is certain departmental specific solutions may not be able to scale for entire organizations or across different groups or offices. these are some of our recommendations, and obviously we'd love to hear your questions about other recommendations or other statistics about what you'd want to see as part of an action plan.
Thank you, everybody who presented. And I guess, wait, is this time for questions?
I think so. You know, in conclusion, unleash the power of video in your organization. Take stock of your video applications, rally your stakeholders in the enterprise, and plot your roadmap to empower employees with the tools to communicate and collaborate with video. And with that, I think we'll take some questions.
I actually feel I'm going to come out with the first question, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I actually have one for you, which is, you know, while we've been prepping the webinar, one question has stood out in my mind. What do you see from the Forrester perspective related to the enterprise of the actual specific vertical markets like financial services, healthcare, government as being the most innovative in terms of the video, in terms of their video adoption?
I'd say in general we see a lot of growth in video technologies across all verticals. If I had to single out a few, certainly I see a lot of innovative examples in the use of video for different use cases in a lot of financial services. I see it in financial services and insurance, certainly a lot of technology-focused companies, right, in high tech. You know, in manufacturing you get some unique use cases where they'll use even video put on digital signage, right, to allow employees who don't have desktops to access video. So there are a lot of considerations for different verticals. I'd say in highly regulated industries, you'll probably see a little bit less of the social use case, right? So in healthcare, there are a lot of issues to sort out if you want to allow everyone in the organization to create video, you know, in a YouTube-like type of use case. But in general, if I had to single out verticals that are very strong, financial services and insurance, high-tech companies, and just generally companies with a lot of e-commerce focus, right, who are up and using video technologies and video content technologies in general. Actually, I have one question for you, Russ and Michal, if that's all right. We've been talking about using video platforms for internal purposes, moving over from an external communications focus. You know, give me some examples. Are customers, as they're thinking about doing that, actually thinking of using the same platform to do to serve both those purposes?
Michal, would you like to take it, or would you like me to?
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to take it. I mean, I would say that we see a mix in this strategy, again, depending also on the level of collaboration within the enterprises. So, you know, we see enterprises, for example, such as Texas Instruments and the example that Russ had shared, where there is a mix of, you know, public-facing content and I guess, you know, centrally produced content together with employee content and you know, customer and you know, developer community content. And you know, I think that's, by the way, the ultimate example for you know, social enterprise strategy. Just you know, allowing to combine all of these inputs and allowing to share it. I mean, thinking that this was actually implemented more than a year ago, I think it was really forward thinking. So you know, in such a case, it's definitely in a central repository, although it assumes not only externally, but also for training purposes internally. So I think that's one case. And in other cases, we see sometimes two separate projects. I mean, we would see a public-facing portal, which is mostly managed by marketing, and then an internal project for, you know, learning, training, or collaboration. But more so now, we actually see a centralized approach similar to the one I talked about earlier, where there is one central repository, and you know, some of it is reflected, you know, in a public-facing site, and some internally. Of course, there are security challenges related to it, access control challenges, and that's why we still do see organizations separating these projects. One of the things we do at Kaltura, by the way, we do allow, you know, to separate content accounts, you know, within the same platform. So, you know, they can use the same platform and any type of customizations that they've made and add-ons that we've done, but still kind of segregate the content in separate content accounts using our platform.
Thank you, guys. And actually, we've gotten so many good questions from the audience. I would like to run through them really quickly, so hopefully we will get to all of them in time. The first question that came up is actually for you, Phil. What role do you see video and Kaltura playing in the new social enterprise trend, and can you and Russ maybe explain a little about the social enterprise and give examples on how this will change work relationships?
Absolutely. I think an emerging use case is this kind of social enterprise trend with regard to video and allowing multiple stakeholders in the organization to create video, right? So on the one hand, I see this use case manifest itself where companies have a very specific context in mind for creating video and allowing everyone to create a video, whether that's a specific campaign, help us come up with our next, with a campaign to a marketing slogan, right? An ideation or crowdsourcing type of solution, or using video for training, right? Submit your specific how-to videos, your best practices, and how to sell our product better, for example. The other side of that is, more broad, true YouTube capabilities where everyone can publish video for water cooler conversation. I think Russ was mentioning earlier. In addition to these specific, very specific contexts for sharing video, and I think as more organizations advance in their video maturity, as they enable different stakeholders in the enterprise to publish video, they'll be looking more at enabling that kind of capability, and certainly Kaltura is a platform that can provide that kind of solution. Russ?
Sure, yeah, and just to add, again, on top of what Phil is saying, is the social enterprise basically, in its most basic form, is bringing the social networking experience inside an enterprise. So what that means is the ability to see a status of people relevant to you and what they're working on, the easy way in which to get to unstructured data, people's comments, people's documents, who may have posted it into some sort of repository, but have an easy-to-use interface to get to that, and also get the backgrounds of all the people that are relevant to you. So they're basic areas. Now, where video plays that role, and there are many companies bringing these systems to market, like we had mentioned earlier, Jive, Yammer, Social Text, which is now part of VMware, as well as obviously SharePoint. Now, but where we see video is video becomes so central to the conversation, which is once you have a video and people have watched it, it becomes so engaging that people then go comment on it. They have something to point to. Hey, did you see that the statistics that Russ was talking about on that video? I'm not sure that I agree with them because my statistics say X. But just like in the television world, where people talk about a program and a TV program they've watched, we're seeing that also in the enterprise. So that's how we see video relevant and also accelerating, quote unquote, the social enterprise movement.
Yeah, and maybe just to add to that, I mean, there's, you could, if you want to learn a little more about video in the social enterprise, Russ actually wrote a great blog post on the Kaltura community blog. It's even a video blog, so I invite you to watch it, and it includes quite a bit of interesting information.
Thanks, guys. The next few questions that came up, and these came up from a lot of people throughout the webinar, is how important is device support, and what is exactly the best way to use enterprise video on the run on mobile devices? And that's for Michal and Phil mostly.
So, like we talked about earlier, a major trend in the consumerization of IT in general is that employees, if they're not already provisioned smartphones or in the future increasingly tablets, the enterprise are bringing these devices to work, and these devices are enabling employees to work from any place, really, at any time, with any device, right? In some cases, organizations are giving their employees a list of devices they can choose from, but our data at Forrester actually shows that in most cases, a lot of employees select smartphones without considering specifically what is supported by their internal IT department, which speaks to the importance of being able to support video on different kinds of devices.
Yeah, and when talking about devices, I mean, there are two sides to it. I mean, one is the creation and capture of video, and one is the delivery and consumption of video. And we see devices as instrumental for both these activities. I mean, we see employees using devices in order to capture video, either at conferences, meetings, even social events for the enterprise. It could be even training sessions, just because today most smartphones are equipped with an HD camera and can create quite a high-quality video. So that's something that we see on the creation side. Then on the side of consuming the video, again, it's extremely valuable either for on-the-spot training, how to do certain things when you're looking, trying to fix something, and instead of carrying a manual with you, you can actually watch a video on your device, walking you through step by step how to do certain things. So I'd say both for consumption and for creation, devices are becoming extremely instrumental.
Great. Another question that came up is for Phil. How do you see video as a service working in the future?
Right. So interestingly, in a lot of the data we collect at Forrester, one of the questions we ask every year is, in general, how are you thinking of deploying video technologies, whether that's on premises or the different flavors of hosted and service models. And increasingly the trend, well, right now I'd say, and I think Michal and Russell will agree with me, that most folks are moving away from an on-premises deployment increasingly towards hosted models or services models for video. With the growth of software as a service and availability of cloud technologies to simplify deployments and to make this technology much more available to everybody, we're seeing a trend in that direction. And that I see that particularly in the video conferencing space. Also in the use of video content and platforms. Particularly when you talk about a lot of these platforms having existing hosting and CDN content delivery relationships, which they can bring to bear in those for their customers. Anything to add there, Michal?
No, I think this is pretty comprehensive.
So apparently we're getting dozens of great questions as we speak. Let's just take one last one before we leave the webinar, and we'll get back to everybody else who wrote to us during the session offline, and we will answer all your questions, I promise. But in the meantime, let's go to the last question, and then we'll wrap up because we're out of time. So this one is for Phil and Michal, actually, and it relates to a recent event on the news. Adobe announced dropping Flash for mobile now. So people are starting to assume that Flash will eventually phase out altogether. And what do you two think is the codec for web video in the future, and what do you think will Kaltura's approach to supporting Flash will be in the near future?
I guess we can start with Phil, and we could ask you what it should be, and then I'll say what I think it will be. This way I won't contradict you.
Okay, well, I mean, of course, a lot of content, particularly externally facing content, is in Flash today. Talking about, the long term, of course, HTML5, there's a lot of momentum. I'll leave it to Michal to say what Kaltura's specific strategy is.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we will definitely continue to support Flash as long as our customers and users will require us to do that. I mean, we support all codecs, including H.264, WebM, Auth0, and many additional codecs. One of the benefits of Kaltura is actually the simplicity of achieving cross-platform playback experience without having to worry about the codecs or the underlying streaming technology. In a similar way, for example, Adobe had adopted our HTML5 library within their Dreamweaver software about a year ago. They announced that. So, in terms of what would be the dominant codecs, excluding, I would say that most likely it would be H.264 and WebM, but I don't want to be too predictive about that. And, I think it's still soon, too soon to determine, which of these codecs will dominate.
Okay, thank you. And with a minute or so to go, I think this is a good time to wrap up. Thank you for everybody who joined us on this webinar. And thank you for attending. Thank you for our speakers, Phil Karcher from Forrester. Thank you, Michal, and thank you, Russ. And I'm apologizing again to the people we didn't get to their questions today. We will get back to you offline in the next few days. Again, a video recording of this webinar is going to be available at kaltura.com in the next few days. And if you have any questions or requests, please feel free to email me at maytal.burstein@kaltura.com. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great day.